Yeah.
Atma Ram Guru's video is not on.
Yeah, I think there is some problem with his webcam, or I don't know.
So now you are able to see me.
Uh, is your display name mentioned as the divine something?
Yeah, the divine plan. Yeah. I have to change it.
Okay, okay. But okay, one
Yeah,
second.
I've joined from my this thing.
Okay,
Prabhuji,
okay.
only
Wait a
name is appearing, Prabhu. Video is not appearing. I'm sorry,
No,
Prabhu.
now I'll keep it. Wait a second.
No, it will come. It will come. Yeah.
Probably is yet to
Come on.
come. Wait. He has two logins now. There is an old login and there is a new login. So there is another new login that Prabhuji is trying to plug into.
Sure, Prabhu.
Now, hopefully, my video is there, right? Is it fine?
No.
Are you
can
able to
see
see
you.
me?
We can see you, we can hear you.
Yes, Prabhu.
I think yes, we can see, right?
Yes, bro. Yes,
I
bro.
think you have to pin you to the so that can see you. Yes, I got you. Yeah.
Is it
Thank
fine?
you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
sure.
Dandavat pranam, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you all so much. I want to apologize for this. I mean, this laptop is heavily used. So at last moment, there was some glitch. I don't know why it happened, how it happened. But anyways, we are together. And I'm so happy and excited to be amongst all of you and for this amazing thing of studying Srila Prabhupada books. And we'll start off with Nectar of Instruction. So I think we can quickly start off with one very sweet bhajan of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Ohe Vaishnav Thakur. Okay, so we'll quickly sing it. Ohe Vaishnava Thakur, Daya Re Sadhara, Hidase Karuna Kori.
Oh, He Vaishnava Thakura, Dayara Sagara, Ase Koruna Kori.
Diya Pada Charana Dhori, Diya Pada Chaya. Chaya Bega Domi, Chaya Dosha Shodhi, Chaya Guna Dehu Dase. Chaya Dosha Shodhi, Chaya Guna Dehu Dase. Chaya Satsanga, Deho Hai Amare, Boshichi Sangera Ashe. Chaya Satsanga,
Deho He
हमारे
Boshe
Boseti sange aashe.
एकाकी आमारा नहीं पाए बाला हरि नाम संकीर्तने
Ekaki Amara Nahi Paya Bala Harinama Sankirtane.
तुम्हें कृपा कोरी शतबिंदु दिया देहो कृष्णा नाम धने
Tumi Kripa Kori Shadabindu Diya Deho Krishna Namedhane.
कृष्णा से तुम्हारा कृष्ण दीते पारो तुम्हारा शक्ति आछे कृष्ण से
तुम्हारा कृष्ण दीते पारो तुम्हारा शक्ति आछे.
আমি তো कंगाल कृष्ण कृष्ण बोले धाई तबा पाछे पाछे
Krishna Krishna Boli Hai Baba
प्रभु पदा जयो प्रभु पदा प्रभु पदा जयो प्रभु पदा
Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo
Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada.
Hari Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Nitai Gaura
Hari
Hari
Bol,
Hari Bol,
Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Nitai
Hari
Gaura.
Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Srila Prabhupada ki Prabhupada ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari
Hari Hari Bol.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namah Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pankam Dangayate Girim Yat Kripatam Ham Bande Shri Gurudev Karanam Paramananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I hope now it is fine. So today technically we all are starting with this Bhakti Shastri course with Nectar of Instruction, which is a very small book with 11 verses. Srila Prabhupada used to say that these 4 books are like sufficient, and that's what constitutes Bhakti Shastri. NOI, NOD, Bhagavad Gita, Ishopnishad. So there's a difference between reading Srila Prabhupada books and studying Srila Prabhupada books. So when we, and of course, first we read Prabhupada books. All of us read Srila Prabhupada books, and in some way our faith got strengthened, our large, big boulder-like philosophical doubts got cleared, and our faith in the personal philosophy which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has founded, that got strengthened. And therefore we picked up the basic tenets of devotional service. But when we pick it up, even to proceed ahead on this, though susukham kartum avyayat, it's a very blissful path, but it's a long path. So we need to regularly keep clarifying the road on which we are traversing back to Godhead. And sometimes the road will have some very big, again, big rocks coming in, sometimes small, sometimes slippery, sometimes whatever, in form of different doubts, our practical understanding of dealing with devotees and everything else, practical understanding of how to execute devotional service on day-to-day basis. So such several things will come. And that's why studying becomes important. So reading is the initial phase, and then we study. So when we study, and that's the beauty of this designed, wonderfully designed Bhakti Shastri course, that we absorb ourselves into each and every verse, each and every different sections of these proper books, and we try to not just skim through it, but actually try to internalize it, discuss on it, and try to see wherever Srila Prabhupada has spoken about that, and try to bring everything together. You know, Srila Prabhupada had this analysis of Bhagavad Gita before even he actually started his journey to West. In fact, in 1950s, late 1950s, he wrote an analysis of Bhagavad Gita, which actually means how to analyze a spiritual subject matter. So in that, interestingly, wherever, so he took different themes like soul, body, material world, and then wherever there all things related to soul, he brought everything together. Okay, so like that, the analysis happened. So in these 4 different books, we are basically going to strengthen our understanding of the the basic pillars of devotional service in various perspectives, philosophical, practical, so on and so forth. Okay. So that is studying. So studying makes us deeper. Studying makes us allow us to go deeper into the subject matter. So that's why this Bhakti Shastri course, concentrated course. Now specifically Nectar of Instruction. So this book is having 11 verses, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave a commentary on Nectar of Instruction. It is called Piyush Varshini, where he mentions that it is such a wonderful collection of the verses that it covers from the basics of devotional service to the most elevated subjects in these 11 verses progressively. Okay, progressively we move ahead from, we may think that the first verse itself is so heavy, but actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that's the verse which will help us to raise to the platform of Madhyama Adhikari level. And then it goes into very higher realms of dealing between devotees, etc., etc. And then the rasas and the topmost places, topmost devotees, like that. So it is a very wide coverage in 11 verses. And in fact, the first verse, he gives the theme called Atma Sanyami Madhyama Adhikari. Atma Sanyami Madhyama Adhikari. Vacho Vegam, the verse which we are going to study. And in this way, verse 2, he says, it's like Bhakti Pratikul Shadgun. Pratikul means opposing. Bhakti Pratikul Shadgun. So we just read this Vaishnav song where Bhaktivinoda Thakur is teaching us to actually pray. And we'll see that how the association of pure devotee, Rupa Goswami brings out as a most important factor to control the association, control the urges, develop good qualities, and refrain from the bad qualities. Similarly, third verse is like Bhakti Anukul Shadva. In this way, he gives theme for all the verses. So, so that's about the background of this book, that it covers. It starts from the important basics, and then it moves up to the highest levels. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll start with preface. Okay, and even the preface of this book is very, very special actually. So I think if somebody can flash the preface while we go through the preface. So in the preface, very beautifully the connection to understand the or to achieve the lotus feet of Radha Krishna is given, established in preface. And initially, Srila Prabhupada explains the importance of 6 Goswamis. And he quotes this song by Narottam Das Thakur. And why 6 Goswamis are important for us? Because they were the direct disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada establishes the importance of 6 Goswamis, that unless we don't study the literatures left by 6 Goswamis, it is very difficult for us to understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And why it is important to understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? That he establishes later, that unless that we cannot understand Radha Krishna without we get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So 6 Goswamis, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna. That's the progression which is being established. If we go down in this preface, that is being established. So the first section is this. Can we go down a bit? Yeah. And amongst so like as you see the second line over here, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to bestow upon human society the benediction of the science of Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and thus it is very important to basically go to Radha Krishna via Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We get the mercy of 6 Goswamis. Okay. And amongst the 6 Goswamis, who is the leader? Rupa Goswami. Okay. So like 6 Goswamis, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna, then Rupa Goswami is the leader in those 6 Goswamis. So in a sense, Rupa Goswami gives us entrance into the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can understand the science of Krishna. We can understand the science of Radha and Krishna. Okay. So like this is the progression which has been mentioned in the preface. And after establishing this position of Srila Rupa Goswami, or Abhidaya Acharya, then then Prabhupada is actually establishing the importance of nectar of instruction. Okay. And Srila Prabhupada says that no, it's very important in all spiritual affairs to first control one's mind and senses. Okay. Now the control of mind and senses is a very common theme across different yoga systems or different systems of transcendental progression, like Gyan yoga system or the Gyan school of transcendental science also talks of sense control. So to say, even pious people, the karma kandis, they also believe in sense control because they tend to follow the rules and regulations to eventually enjoy the senses. And even the bhakti school also talks of sense control. So what is being mentioned is why sense control is important, because it elevates a person to sattva. Okay. It elevates one to sattva. Can any one of you tell one of the verses from Srimad Bhagavad Gita where Lord Krishna also emphasizes the importance of coming to sattva? Anyone?
Prabhuji, one verse he not about Sattvagun but Bhogeshwara Prashaktanam Tya Prachetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhir Samadhana Vidiyate is like Bhoga and Aishwarya through senses. If we enjoy, then spiritual life is difficult, he says.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, perfect. So what happens when we associate with lower modes? And that is in fact the beginning point of the first verse. What happens when we associate with lower modes? What it leads us to?
It downfall in the bhakti process, Prabhu.
Yeah,
And there is a possibility of getting polluted more, Prabhu.
yeah. So what is the possibility? Is it 10%, 15%, 20%?
It is a tamogun, the possibility is more, probably we can say 40 to 50%, or it's more relatively more when compared to rajogun.
Actually, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, Rajo or Tama, any one of these modes, 100% one will fall down. Fall down in the sense, one will engage into somewhere consciously, unconsciously, be pulled into the sinful life. And the verse which Krishna says is that Tesham Antagatam Papam. So, unless one doesn't brings an end to the sinful reactions and sins, it is not possible to actually start. So when one does that, then one takes up to devotional service with determination, stability, sustainability. Okay. So if we see in this verse, all the three modes and Shuddha Sattva, everything is covered. So we have to, because the Papam, Srila Prabhupada, when he comments on this verse, he says Papam is mode of passion and mode of ignorance. And then Prabhupada says that it's important to cultivate mode of goodness. Why? As Prabhupada is mentioning over here, then it becomes easier for us to engage our senses in the service of Krishna. As devotees, we are not interested to get stuck in mode of goodness. Nonetheless, it is very important for us to at least remain in mode of goodness, so that we can continue stably and continuously in a very predictable way in devotional service. Okay, is that fine? So therefore, there is a lot of importance given to Sattva. In fact, if we see various verses of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna advocates Sattva in different ways. He is advocating it, that do your duty, don't focus on results, don't think of inaction. He is trying to cut passion ignorance. He's trying to cut passion ignorance in various ways and trying to bring back Arjuna on mode of goodness, because it is only in mode of goodness yoga can be practiced, bhakti yoga as well. And the essence of mode of goodness is controlling one's mind and senses. Okay.
Guruji, can we say influence of Maya is less at the Sattva-guna?
Yes, the influence is Maya is less, absolutely, because the knowledge, Sattva-guna means knowledge, as Bhagavad Gita mentions. Sattva-guna leads to knowledge. When there is knowledge, as it is being mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that no taha nahi maya dipa. So it is like, but when that knowledge is not complemented with devotional service, then it's very difficult sometimes to sustain on that platform. Okay, one may get attracted, as we see further, to impersonalism and things like that. Okay, and that will again lead to disturbance in mind and again bring one down in devotional service. But you are right that when we come to Sattva-guna, the impact of Maya is less because knowledge is arising in the platform of Sattva-guna. Very simple example. I have certain impulses, okay, which all of us are born with. Somebody impulsively gets very quickly angry. Somebody impulsively gets very quickly kind of, no, it may be any other habit. It is very difficult to tolerate our impulses in passion and ignorance. But when we get the knowledge of the consequences and this things like that, it becomes easier for us to tolerate the impulses. Okay, so in that way, though we are bound, but we are trying to unbind ourselves. And obviously, when we take up to devotional service, then it becomes very easier for us. Obviously, devotional service is actually the real knowledge, as we'll get to know in the first verse. Okay, so yeah, that is absolutely right. Anything else? Anybody else would like to comment something before we move ahead?
Prabhuji, generally we tend to suggest people, if they are in Tamogun, rather than coming to directly to Satogun, suggesting for Satogun, we generally tend to tell them to come to Rajogun, right? When relatively better. But when we say that any of this, if any person is a Rajogun or Tamogun, sure shot of fall down is there. I mean, we are not leaving any hope for the people. So generally we tend to say, right, if a Tamogun person is there, we need to bring them first to Rajogun and then
Yeah.
to
No, so we are talking of a lifetime kind of thing. It is not a momentary thing. So this is something which Rajas Tama Bhava is something which even Bhagavatam says is something which is not a great platform to be on. Okay, even when we say Rajagun, the problem is, as we explore in verse 1, what happens when there is Rajagun? That's why the Vegas come. Okay, all these Vegas are actually originating from these two modes. Okay, so which may sometimes one may successfully, sometimes one may not have that bad reaction, or sometimes one may, but then it's a shaky boat. When we say short, it means as long as one is in material world, there is always a chance, which will happen to commit and get back to the sinful activities. So these two modes, because they cover knowledge, it becomes difficult for us to come out. That's the point. And when we say lower modes, passion per se is needed. It is not that we can be ever mukt of passion. Of course, tamoguna is something which we have to give up. But passion, when it is blended with goodness, when it is moderated with goodness, then it is fine. There's no problem. In fact, in Grahastha life, we know there are so many things in which we have to get involved in passion, right? I mean, we have to, so many work, so many things are there. But if we see, there's an element of goodness, which kind of knows where we have to limit ourselves. Okay, that keeps us in control. So that passion is fine. That's like, we are using it, we are using our energies, but we also know where to control. And that's what we call as dovetailing. Okay, we know where it kind of ends. But the point which I was trying to mention was that if one is not at all in goodness, then it is like a difficult thing. One keeps moving into the pendulum and all those things. Okay. But per se, as long as we are staying in this world, it is not possible for us to give up passion. Even ignorance to some extent is needed. Sleep is also needed. So that comes in ignorance. So that sense, we also use that. But then passion is also used, but it is moderated by goodness. So in one sense, if you see, it is the goodness factor which is using the passion in proper way. That also is control only. Okay. So I hope it is clear. Thanks for bringing that up. Is that clear?
Thanks, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji,
Yes,
Sucharita Devi.
Yes,
Prabhuji, my question is is it possible for sadhaka bhaktas to move from tamoguna to rajoguna and satvaguna completely?
Mataji, Srila Prabhupada also talks about this as an example. It's like you are on a ship. Okay. And when we are on ship, then waves keep coming, sometimes nice, simple waves, sometimes very heavy waves. And even though one may be in ship, one goes up and down. Okay. But one has to continue to be on the ship. So the influence of Raju and Tamo is something which we can't avoid. And sometimes we will fall prey to it. But the point is that we make a comeback. Okay, and that's why that whole question of Parikshit Maharaj comes in as we move in verse 1, where he says that it is almost anybody in this world, all of us, we are conditioned, and so far we are conditioned, we are going to be disturbed by different disturbances of the 6 Vegas, which will come in form of the lower modes. Okay, in different ways it will try to influence us, and sometimes we will be successful in tolerating, sometimes we may be not. It's a practice, and that's why the verse 2 and 3 are there. Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairya, that we continue on that journey with Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairya. And why it is different from why it is a different kind of, it is not exactly a failure also, it is actually a progression, it is not even a failure. And why? Because we know what is the reality and we are trying to move towards it. See, already we are fallen in this material world, so there is no other scope of getting fallen per se, if we see. But what we are trying to say over here is that even though we may get influenced by Rajo, even we will be for sure 110%. But then by the strength of association or devotional service, by the strength of coming back to the routine of devotional service, by the strength of coming back to the routine of our daily practices of devotional service, we try to come back. And in this way, it's a progression by which we attain stability in devotional service. It is not today we hear this and tomorrow Sattvagun, Rajogun and Tamagun are gone. It will never go. Actually, it will never go. All what will develop is our strength to tolerate them. That's it. So long as we are in this material world, they'll continue to impact us. Only thing is now we'll fall for it, and there'll be a time when we'll tolerate it, and that tolerance power will increase, and there'll be a time when we are able to manage it well. Okay. And when only at the platform of bhava and prema, actually at a very elevated levels of devotional service, we will not at all get impacted by the external circumstances. It's a very rare kind of stage. It's a very advanced stage. But the point is, even before that, the devotional service still remains very strong. It's not that devotional service has to become elevated. We have to get elevated. So by the strength of coming back to the sadhana bhakti, we will get purified, and we'll get elevated, and we'll come back to that reinstate to the spiritual platform, and we'll be able to continue. Okay, does that make sense?
Absolutely, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
Yes,
one continuing question. One continuing question on that, Prabhuji. As you rightly said, since we deal with material world, like at office, or when we're dealing with getting some things done from somebody, we have to exhibit the Rajaguna. But my question is, how do we know, whether, how do we dovetail with Sattva-guna, and how much are we going extreme there? And, how do we know how much to do and how much not to do and get back to Sattva-guna? Because that's one very tricky thing, Prabhuji, and even...
Yeah. So this is a very, very important question, Prabhuji. This is a very important and a very good question. Especially for Grahasthas, how do we manage? Because we have to go out and fight, okay, every day, okay, with our Gandhi and whatever we have, laptop Gandhi and whatever, and whatever things we may be having. And of course, it's not a very, nobody's, even though we may be in a very good mood, we'll get a call which will give a spring below us, and we'll keep jumping. So that will keep happening for sure. So hold on to this, Prabhuji, and this is something which I want to answer, but only after we start discussing verse 1, because I think that is going to address a lot of things. Okay, and so just hold on to that very important question. Even I am noting it down. Okay?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, anything connected to the preface till now? So till now, what we discussed in terms of progression, if it's okay, then we'll kind of move ahead. The second verse, of course, not the second verse, sorry. If we can go back to the flashing of the screen, Prabhuji, Leelanand Prabhu, thank you so much. This is the last paragraph, is again, Srila Prabhupada doesn't stop at sense control. He adds on a very important factor, and that is called attitude. Okay, and that is a very big differentiator in Krishna consciousness. Okay. And that is what is going to, if you see the verses 2, 3, 4, 5, beautifully it covers the attitude of the follower, and we'll be discussing all those things. There are favorable attitudes we may have in devotional service, and there are unfavorable attitudes we may have in devotional service, and we'll try to cover everything in our verses 2 and 3 and so on. The other teachers will also cover, but the point is sense control, following the right attitude will lead us to become, as it says, perfect devotee of Krishna. Okay, so Prabhupada refers to Goswami as one who is able to control the senses, follow the right attitude, and in this way one gets elevated to the level of pure devotee. Okay. And then Prabhupada ends this whole thing by saying that to achieve the highest success in life by becoming a Goswami and then a pure devotee of the Lord, one must follow the instructions known as Upadeshamrit, which are given by Rupa Goswami. So when I came in Krishna consciousness, and even till now, there are occasions where we commit mistakes and this and that. Initially, my guide used to always go back to this one thing: Utsaha Nishcha Dhairya, Utsaha Nishcha Dhairya, Utsaha Nishcha Dhairya. So this is a book which I personally feel is a very good counseling book for us. Okay, it's a very good counseling book for us, which will always keep us moving as nicely as possible in our devotional service, which is our goal. Before we start, I want to talk about this, that the mode of goodness is best achieved in a balanced lifestyle. Okay, when a devotee is balanced and he's able to manage different aspects of one's life, okay, and we'll see how Rupa Goswami also brings it out, then it is very easy to be clear in one's mind. When there is an imbalance, then it creates activity maybe, but bewilderment often. Okay, so it's very important to remember this balance. And Lord Krishna talks about balance so much in chapters 1 to 6. Okay, one who eats too much, eats too less, sleeps too much, sleeps too less, recreates too much, recreates too less, is a problem. So I'll be also talking about the pillars of balance, especially in Grahastha life. Okay, that will really help us to kind of understand. So we'll move towards it, okay, as we kind of proceed. So when a devotee achieves balance, then all one has to do is engage very nicely and continuously in devotional service. One will come down, go up, come down, go up. And in this way, the graph keeps going up. And in this way, we'll achieve stability in devotional service. Thank you. So we'll quickly move to now verse 1. And while it moves, at the preface, we covered the importance of Rupa Goswami following 6 Goswamis, getting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, and by that understand Radha and Krishna, and then sense control and so on. So we'll all recite this together. Okay. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam. Jiva vegam udarupastha vegam. Etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira. Sarvam api mam prithvim sa shishyat. Translation: a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of tongue, belly, genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. NOI, verse 1. Atma Sanyami Madhyam Adhikari. Please, when we the Western concept of understanding. Sorry, somebody saying something?
I'm going to mute all, Prabhuji. Just unmute yourself if you can once. Or let me unmute everybody. 1 second. Yeah, let me. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji. Okay. So the Western concept is of learning anything is isolation. You know, we are like, no, I mean, CMMI maturity level 5 is different from 4, is different from 3, 2, 1. They are like isolated things. Vedic concept is everything is integrated, you know. Okay. So when we are studying this verse, it's not that only when we complete verse 1, we can move to verse 2 in terms of practice. All these things will continue parallelly in our life. Okay. But they address different kind of things. Like the theme of this verse is sense control, mind and sense control. That's what, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Atma Sanyami Madhyam Adhikari. Okay. So we should not feel depressed after reading this verse that, okay, oh my God, this verse alone is going to be a very big homework for me, for my life. Actually, it is a homework for life. But that doesn't mean that, no, it is the progress stops. Okay, the progress is actually integrated as we continue following. Okay, so that is one thing I wanted to say before we start this course. Now these are the 6 urges or 6 vegas which are being discussed in this verse, which are equal to the sense and mind control. Okay, now the point is that, no, why we are talking of sense control or why we are talking of mind control. The goal of life is to devotional service. Why we talk about sense control, mind control? It will automatically happen. Why do you think we need to discuss about sense control and mind control?
Since senses will give the knowledge.
To reach to the level of mode of goodness.
Oh wow, yeah, that's what we discussed. To reach to the, and what happens when we reach to the level of mode of goodness?
You can relatively
focus on
control mind or senses.
And when the focus is established, then we do what with that clean Mr. White mind, Mr. White senses?
Engage in devotional service.
Engage in devotional.
Yeah. When we have uncontrolled mind and uncontrolled senses, it is very difficult to fix our consciousness in devotional service. Conversely, if the mind and senses are controlled, it is easier for us to practice and fix our consciousness in devotional service. Okay. And what is that keyword? Tolerance. We have to increase the tolerance. You know, weightlifting, we all did our gymming. Okay. So maybe in past, so we started with like 5 kgs and then slowly 1 kg, 3 kgs. Slowly our tolerance to lift the weight, it went on increasing. So as I told you initially also, it is a progression, number 1, and it is very, very specific to the individual. Some people may have an urge to speak. They may want to just keep speaking only. You may see, sometimes, it's very difficult to keep a person quiet sometimes. Then there may be some people who may not be actually very much willing to speak, but they may have an urge of anger. They will very quickly get angry. And some people may have urges of tongue and belly, the pouchy increasing every quarter and things like that. Okay. So these are our urges. So we tolerate the urges, and that tolerance is our path. Okay. So that's how we do it is being mentioned, is being explained in this verse. We establish that tolerance, the sense control is achieved, and then we are able to fix our consciousness on devotional service. Then what happens? Devotional service again purifies us. Okay. So again because bhakti means knowledge and detachment. Okay, so it gives us knowledge and gives us detachment from the lower modes. gives us detachment from the mode of ignorance. Slowly, slowly it happens automatically. All of us have realized that thing, that how when we pick up devotional life, how we become detached to the obnoxious things of this world. Okay. And then it gives us more tolerance. Then again the urge comes, then we tolerate and engage in devotion. Then again the devotional service becomes better in quality. Then again it gives us strength. Then again, in this way, it's a cycle which kind of goes on. Okay. So that's the theme which we are going to get deeper into in this verse. And there are 4 sections to Srila Prabhupada's purport in this. Okay. The part 1 of this purport is atonement. Okay. And now I think all of us can relate to it, that why we discussed about that, no, antagata papam, that it's very difficult to separate sinful life from the urges of these 6 elements or the 6 urges. It's very difficult to kind of separate. Okay. So that is part 1, which is atonement. Part 2 is Srila Prabhupada's description of the 6 Vegas and its solution. Part 3 is Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur's Anuvritti commentary on the 6 Vegas. And part 4 is conclusion. Okay, these are the 4 parts of this very long purport which Srila Prabhupada gives. Okay, and we'll start with atonement. Okay, and Srila Prabhupada starts this section of atonement or the purport itself by the conversation which begins between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadev Goswami. And this comes in the 6th canto, okay, of Srimad Bhagavatam. And what is the question which he is asking? Why do people undergo atonement if they cannot control their senses? It's a very good question, because it looks like a very very inefficient process, that one is committing sin and one is conscious of it. That's why our person is so. Parikshit Maharaj in this question, whom is he addressing? He is addressing actually pious people. I mean, people with a lot of understanding of the action, reaction, law of karma, and all those things. And he's basically questioning this whole mentality, that why at all one has to go for atonement if one cannot control the senses. Because if the senses are not controlled, eventually one will come back and do the same activity again. So it doesn't make sense. It's a waste of resources, waste of time, waste of energy to go for atonement. So this is the mother of all questions. Actually, it questions the complete genesis of, or the foundation of, or it differentiates pious lifestyle and devotional life. It differentiates, immediately it differentiates. Okay. Sometimes when we hear this, we think that no, devotional service means not piety. No, it doesn't mean that. It means we may have pious, we should have a pious lifestyle for sure, but it has to be not stopping there. When we say duty of husband or duty of wife, following of varnashram, this, that, we talk about it. It's not that in devotional circles that is not being talked about. We have to do it. Prabhupada also talks about it, but we don't stop there. We move ahead and we go to the spiritual level. So if you see the heavenly planets are there, Golok Vrindavan is also in the same direction. It's not that Golok Vrindavan is here. Okay, so it is in the same direction, but we don't stop there at the heavenly planet. We want to go beyond it. Okay. So we have to understand that we retain our pious lifestyle, whatever we may be having, pious habits, but we don't stop there. we go ahead. Okay, so that is one point which is important over here. And going ahead means what? It means that while we are following that pious, like take the example of Yudhishthir Maharaj, a very we can't find any blemish in his actions, any blemish, any dark mark. Very, very amazing. Even the pious of the people cannot find any. But at the same time, the heart and the consciousness was fixed on Krishna. Consciousness was fixed on Krishna. But what happens when one is just interested in piety, which means one is interested to follow pious life to enjoy the senses. So this is a question to them, that enjoy senses means one will forget, one may commit sinful, then again atonement. But the point is, the problem is controlling of the senses. Okay. And then Srila Prabhupada gives, if we go down, the example of a thief. And he says that a thief may know perfectly well that he may be arrested for doing theft, but still he continues to steal. Why? Because the tendency to steal has not gone. Even if we tie his hands, which Prabhupada mentions, he may be punished when arrested. He's tied, but as soon as he gets the opportunity, again theft. So actually we have, and Prabhupada mentions the three kinds of people, actually Prabhupada adds a fourth category also. We all have heard, these three categories of intelligent people, most intelligent, less intelligent. So anybody would like to quickly say who is the first category of intelligent person?
People who hear and follow, and
people who, sorry Proji, anything else?
No, people who hear and follow, and people who hear, see and follow, people who hear, see, experience and follow, and fourth category is who do all these three but still don't follow.
Yeah, they experience also but still they continue. So first category, second category, third category, and fourth category. And then Srila Prabhupada gives several such examples to basically defy this whole concept of karma kanda philosophy. Okay, so this is Prabhupada is questioning the hardcore. In this example of thief, Prabhupada is questioning this whole unstoppable free lifestyle of enjoying life. Okay, free lifestyle, enjoy life, enjoy life, enjoy life. So in this example of thief, that is getting uncovered. Okay, that how if a person is captivated by desire of unlimited enjoyment, is actually fourth class intelligent person, because such a person is not even consciously kind of considering. Just a second, my battery is going low.
Prabhuji, you are on mute.
You're on mute, Prabhu.
Which in this case is actually forced atonement. It's not that this person wanted to atone. Similarly, the laws of nature also force atonement on a person. It's an atonement only, forced by giving different kind of reactions and all those things. But still a person doesn't improve. Why? Because the vritti has not changed. So such forced atonement also is of no help actually. And then if we go down, Prabhupada gives other example. Okay. Just a second. Able to see me?
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji. Yeah.
And then Prabhupada, if we go below, and Parikshit Maharaj actually inquires, and he gives that example of elephant taking bath. Okay. And this is a very, so this is a second example which Prabhupada gives. The first example was that of a thief who even after forced atonement doesn't improve. And then the second example is that of elephant taking bath. Can anyone explain this example?
Yes, Prabhuji. So elephant takes a nice bath in the river water, whatever, and then as soon as it comes out again, it splashes the mud or sand over its body again and again. So it is like I think it's maybe in line. I'm not sure if my understanding is wrong, but it's like undergoing that atonement and then coming back and committing the same sinful tasks again, Prabhuji.
Perfectly right. And see, Srila Prabhupada, after giving this elephant bath, Prabhupada gives similarly and similarly, too similarly he uses in two places. And this we can say is karma kandi way of lifestyle. Okay, where it is not forced atonement like before in the thief example. Here the atonement is voluntary, like that elephant is voluntarily going into the water to get cleansed. But what is happening? Again coming back and doing the sinful activities or getting dirty, again throwing the dirt all over its body. And Prabhupada gives two examples over here. And first example Prabhupada gives of the practitioners who chant Hare Krishna, but at the same time commit many forbidden things. Okay. So essentially the spiritual practitioners who are actually not interested in spiritual goal, but they are interested to use spiritual facilities or spiritual process to actually enjoy life. Okay, so such people, they may commit forbidden things, and they may have some knowledge also that this Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting is good enough to atone me of my sins, as we hear that no, even chanting once, it can clear the sins which we have committed in the past and what we can possibly commit in the future in the name, glorification of the name that comes. So one may take the help of such instructions and knowledge to atone consciously, but the purpose of that atonement is to again enjoy the senses. Okay, and then Prabhupada gives the second example. Okay, again it falls into the karma kanda way of lifestyle. Okay, and what is that second example? Christians go to church to confess this. Prabhupada is actually one of the favorite activity which he used to actually so many times quote. So Christians they go to church. So I'm actually don't mind my seeing. I'm actually looking at my laptop where Prabhuji is flashing and I'm visible through a mobile. So please don't mind if I'm not looking like eye to eye. Please forgive me for that. So as Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, Christians go to church to confess their sins, thinking that their sins. You go to a priest. Similar to what? Like no chanting of holy name. Similarly, I go and do not a forced atonement, conscious atonement to get relieved. And what I do next? What happens next? The other day, again commit
sins.
Again commit sinful activities. Okay. So the expecting to be forgiven the next week, agle hafte phir se saaf. So elephant like taking bath. So this is condemned by Parikshit Maharaj. Okay. This is what Parikshit Maharaj condemns actually, this kind of atonement. And if we go down, can we go down, Prabhuji?
Yes.
So this kind of prayaschit or atonement is condemned by Parikshit Maharaj, the most intelligent king of his time. So the point what he says is the sinful activity cannot be counteracted by a pious activity. And then Srila Prabhupada starts mentioning on Gyan Kand now. So if you see, this is such a nice progression Srila Prabhupada is having in this verse of atonement. He covers everything. Okay. He covers unrestricted sense enjoyment with an example of thief. He covers restricted sense enjoyment or the so-called religious way of enjoying senses by giving the examples of some of the spiritual practitioners chanting Hare Krishna or the Christians going to church. And now Prabhupada mentions about the Gyan Kand example. Can you tell me which is that example which Prabhupada is mentioning? Can anybody would like to talk about it and see how it is getting connected? Which is that example?
Frog inviting snake.
No, that will come later. That is for the speaking power. We have not gone to that section. We are still in part 1, atonement. When one follows a regulated hygienic process. Sorry?
Yes, Prabhuji. I was telling that the 4 regulatory principle, if we are using that.
Yeah. So do you want to share what are you thinking when you are, how it is connected to Gyan or abnegation per se?
Prabhuji, if we are using like the 4 regulatory principles, these are the pillars of the bhakti. If we are not following those, then we cannot attain that the knowledge of the bhakti. First thing is that one.
See, okay, thank you. No, that is good. See, when I'll try to explain. When one follows a regulated hygienic process, he does not fall sick. A human being is meant to be trained according to certain principle to revive his original knowledge. Such a methodical life is described as tapasya. One can be gradually elevated to the standard of real knowledge or Krishna consciousness by practicing austerity and celibacy, by controlling mind, by controlling senses, by giving one's possessions in charity. And then Prabhupada actually concludes everything actually. But if you look at that example of a person who is trying to follow regulated hygienic process, he does not fall sick. So there is a material contamination outside. Okay. And what one does not expose oneself to that material contamination. That is also one of the ways to actually avoid one to do sinful activities, that you don't associate itself from the with this material world. Okay, just try to remain away. Okay, and that is regulated hygienic process. Then it is not possible to fall sick. Just like you may see that even in this pandemic, there are certain people who have not come out of their homes. I know also, and you may also be knowing, for past 1.5 2 years. I mean, they are coming out like when nobody is there. Like, it's very so. Now, let's say if somebody says that this pandemic is going to continue like this for eternity, it's very difficult to continue like that. So, and Srila Prabhupada interestingly says that no, that the material world or the consciousness of the material world, the infection of the modes of nature is like always there. Now, it is not possible for us to completely dissociate ourselves. Okay, and that's what Prabhupada used to say, that for the Gyan Kand, the challenge is it goes against the very nature of the soul, which is in action. Okay, which is association, which is relationships. Okay, so thus it is very difficult for a person to continue in that state. So that is Gyan Kand. Again, this kind of process is okay, but not possible for everyone, and it is very difficult. And then Prabhupada summarizes, okay, everything. Okay, he says that no, by gradually following tapasya, one may be gradually elevated to standard of real knowledge, and then by practicing austerity, by giving one, by controlling, by being so many things Prabhupada mentions. But then Prabhupada gives a alternate way. Okay, and what is that? However, if one is fortunate enough to get the association of a pure devotee, he can easily surpass all the practices for controlling the mind by the mystic yoga process, simply by following the 4 regulative principles of Krishna consciousness, refraining from illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, and by engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master. So, 100 baaton ki ek baat. So there are so many things, even if it comes to Gyan, there's so many things. Like Arjuna, when he was being told somewhat similar progression only, Arjuna was being mentioned, he was being told. And then eventually when this tapasya and then this Ashtanga yoga and so many things were being mentioned, Arjuna told it's not possible. It's very difficult for me. I am a warrior. I am a grahastha. For me, it is not possible to dissociate myself from this world. What should I do? And then we see in the first 6 chapters, Krishna talks of a very important verse therefore, before he actually starts talking about the Bhakti Yoga, where he talks about the same point, association of pure devotee. Can anybody tell what is that verse from Bhagavad Gita, where he mentions it doesn't matter? Can anybody tell which is that verse?
What was the question again? Sorry, I missed the last part.
So what I'm saying is that no, Goswami gives a shortcut to us. Prabhupada gives a shortcut to us, which can also help us to come to the real knowledge and be very easily immune to the sinful life or the process mentioned above. And Prabhupada mentions that no, association of pure devotee, categorically he mentions, okay, under the direction of bona fide spiritual master, association of pure devotee. So which is that in Bhagavad Gita? In first 6 chapters. Sorry?
I think starting with Raja Vidya, Guhya Vidya,
Striya Shudra Tada Vaishya. Prabhupada says that it doesn't matter who is one. If one gets the association of pure devotee, then one can be elevated to the highest platform of devotional service. All of you know about that verse?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so in this way, the first section ends, or the part 1 of the verse 1 purport ends. Atonement. Yes, yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji Sucharita. Prabhuji, I just want to understand clarify my understanding of association. Association is something of a pure devotee if we are talking about. So we can take association of pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada by reading his books, listening to the lectures, hearing more about him. And is that understanding correct, Prabhuji? Is there any other way we can take association of pure devotee?
Yes, there are three kinds of association. One, of course, is the physical association. When we have pure devotee in, coming and physically in front of us, then hearing from him. Also, it is more like being in some way serving or things like that. Where one is in physical proximity with the spiritual master, even though one is actually sitting down and hearing an association is also an association. Then, as you mentioned, is the Vani association, where the pure devotee may not be physically there, but then associating with the Vani of the pure devotee. And the third type of association is associating with the mood of a pure devotee. And that is that gets developed as one keeps hearing and following a pure devotee. One understands the mood of a pure devotee and follows it in one's life easily. So that is also association. Is that fine?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
So just to summarize, because this is a bit heavy section, atonement, and we discussed about how actually without different categories of mentalities like unrestricted sense enjoyment, karma kand, gyan kand, yoga kand, whatever it is, they all, through various examples, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that it doesn't lead to the real atonement. Why? Because it doesn't lead to the removal of the tendency to commit sins. It all stops or focuses on removing the reactions of sinful activities, but doesn't focus on the tendency to be removed. Okay. And the tendency is only removed by the association of pure devotee if we engage in the pure devotional service of the Lord. Okay. And slowly now that will get established. Okay. So, so it is knowledge. When one comes to real knowledge, one practices Krishna consciousness, there is a removal of sinful desires. Otherwise, the vritti or the pravritti to commit sinful activities is not changed, and thus any atonement other than practicing Krishna consciousness is actually of no use. Okay. Therefore, when we come to Krishna consciousness, we have to understand, even though we may commit something, we should not, the best atonement is to continue practicing Krishna consciousness by recognizing what is our problem, by regretting about it, but then reinstating ourselves in the platform of devotional service. It is not that we have to go out of Krishna consciousness to actually atone. The process lies within Krishna consciousness. And as we move ahead, we'll understand it all starts with hearing. Okay. So I think I'll stop here. We'll continue with part 2, and there we will have more Grahastha specific discussions and more practical understanding of how these 6 Vegas can be managed in the Grahastha life. We'll talk about it. Okay. So that
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, what are the 6 Vegas you're talking about? I didn't get it.
The Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam.
In the verse. Okay.
That the way. Okay.
So Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. So which verse you asked us to remember? So can you help me to understand?
Sorry, Prabhuji.
Right? From Bhagavad Gita, which verse, Prabhu? Can you say that?
It is that Striya, Shudra, Tata, Vaishya. So that verse. I'm like, no, that verse essentially talks of So I'm basically very poor in remembering Sanskrit. So I'm telling you that is the verse. And in that Prabhupada, what he mentions is, even if one is of lower birth, but if one gets the association of a pure devotee, then one can very easily be situated on the highest platform of transcendence. That's the translation. One can go back to.
Sure. Hare Krishna. Thank you, bro.
So now we can quickly take some questions. Is it clear? We started with the preface. Yamami Partha Vipashita. Papa Yoni. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for putting that. That has been my problem always. Remember Sanskrit verses. I have been able to remember just 3-4 verses. But the translation is something which I try to at least remember. Yeah. So now we started with preface, importance of Nectar of Instruction book, what is covered in this book, 11 verses, importance of 6 Goswamis, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna, Rupa Goswami's importance, and then finally we move to sense control, attitude is important. These two things are important for us to proceed in our devotional service. And we started with verse 1, which is having 4 sections. And the theme of this verse is Atma Sanyami Madhyam Adhikari. And in this verse, the theme is, of course, the sense control, and it is divided into 4 parts. The first part talks about atonement. The second part talks about the 6 Vegas, description of 6 Vegas, Shatavek, and their resolution by Srila Prabhupada. Then part 3 is Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur's Anuvritti explanation of the 6 Vegas, and the part 4 is going to be conclusion. So on 9th we will cover the remaining 3, and we'll try to start the second verse as well. Okay. Yeah.
Prabhuji, you mentioned some book name. Is it Piyush Bharati for the Bhakti Vinod Thakur giving comment?
It is called Piyush Varshini. It is a Bengali commentary on Upadesh Amrit. It was done in 1898 by Bhakti Vinod Thakur actually. So he gave a very short kind of thing. So I also heard in one of the lectures, but then Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur also explained verses 2 and 3 in another book called Bhakti Alok. Okay, so we'll be taking some of the aspects of Bhakti Alok when we discuss verses 2 and 3. And that is a book which is generally available also.
Okay, so my thing is wrong, right? Piyush Bharati, there is nothing like Piyush Bharati, but it is Piyush Varshini, right?
Piyush Varshini, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yes, Mataji. We can take questions now. Yeah, Praveen Prabhu, your question also. Yeah, Mataji, please go ahead.
Prabhuji, in the initial stages of Krishna consciousness, is atonement better than committing sinful activities and leaving it off? And I mean, committing sinful activities and leaving it off, and rather than taking atonement, Prabhuji.
So atonement for devotee means he recognizes what is the mistake, regrets for it, and then reinstates, and then take a resolution that I am not going to commit that mistake, and then reinstates one in the path of devotional service. That's the atonement for a devotee. And as Parikshit Maharaj mentions, any other atonement anyways is okay, but it is not having a long-term solution.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Santosh.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have small doubt. What is the difference between controlling the sense and regulating the sense? Is there any difference between?
Yeah. So regulating the senses is part of controlling the senses. Okay, which means we engage. It's not abnegation. So again, control is a very big word, and control may mean abnegation of the senses from the sense objects completely. But regulating means in a regulated way, these senses interact with the sense objects. You getting a point?
Yes, Prabhupada. So Prabhupada means to say you have to be detached from the sense and the sense objects.
No, it is not the case. As we will see later, and that's what Prabhupada is basically, when we understand the 6 Vedas, we'll see that how Prabhupada is saying that no, you cannot do that actually. The separation of senses and sense objects doesn't happen in spiritual world also. So if we are practicing it now, where we are planning to go, spiritual world, there is no separation. The plan over there is put Krishna in between senses and sense objects. Okay. Now putting Krishna in between is a big thing actually. It is a deep thing. It means putting Krishna's rules, like how I am dealing with my wife or how my wife deals with me. If I put Krishna's rules in between, how I deal with my kids, that is also putting Krishna in between. Okay. And also putting Krishna's pleasure in between. So that's how it is. Okay. So Krishna, when we have to understand, Krishna is a very big thing, very, very big, like no Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwaniti Shabdata. So it is not just the person Krishna, but his rules is non-different. He's absolute actually. Okay, so his instructions also is one of the things.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we can take that question.
Yes,
Prabhuji, my
Rohan.
question is about the mode of passion, how much to use, how to regulate, and how do we know whether we're doing too much or like because we have to deal with it when we go outside.
Yeah. So the first and the most direct symptom of it is going beyond is when it starts affecting us, affecting our daily devotional service. So let's say it is becoming too much on a prolonged basis. It is, I'm not talking of 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day. I'm talking on a prolonged basis. Let's say on a very prolonged basis, there is no trace when we last heard Srila Prabhupada lecture. Once upon a time, I heard Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Or it's a prolonged period of reading Srila Prabhupada books. Or it's a prolonged period of associating with devotees. It's a prolonged period of services. So when we are seeing that our usual activities, which we have to do, we are getting so much involved that the daily devotional service or the regulated devotional service we do, that is getting impacted. That's the first symptom. And that's actually the major symptom. The second symptom is, I'll go back to the 7 pillars, and please remember this 7 pillars of Grahastha life, the balance. Okay. The 7 pillars of balance in Grahastha life. The first is, and this is from Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj. Okay. So the first is sadhana. Okay. The second is association. Third is hearing. Fourth is services. Fifth is relationships. Relationship with wife, time spent in family, relationship with kids, all those things. Then financial situation, job, and then health. If you really see, there is no rocket science in any of these 7 pillars. No rocket science. But the rocket science is that we don't neglect any one of them. What happens is, due to our inclination for or against anything, we may neglect any one of these pillars. Okay, and that causes disbalance. Balance doesn't mean you take the 7 pillars and then 12.5% time each. No, that is not what it means. There will be some days when we have to spend more time in job. Let's say I moved into a new job. All those things are there. There may be some days when I have to actually spend more time into particular thing. There may be some times when I have to spend more time. There may be some time when actually I have to go, and because it has been long time, I have really neglected my reading hearing. I have to really spend a lot of time in my reading hearing to reinstate myself back. But the point is, when we neglect any one of this for a prolonged period of time, then it causes imbalance. So if we remember this point, then it becomes very easy. So this is a meditation and this is a homework for us. Like no, that juggling of that balls, no circus, वो जो होता है. पहले एक बॉल आती है. जैसे before we got married and all, it was just one ball we were throwing. मेरी education, then job came, then marriage, then kids, and the Krishna consciousness, and then preaching. There's so many things. So this is a practice of life. And so to your question, Praveen Prabhu, that was one thing what I mentioned is a direct symptom. It's like you have actually caught fever. Okay, and then you are trying to get it diagnosed. But prevention is better than cure. And how the prevention happens is that when I do not neglect any one of these 7 pillars in my life. See, it's very important. If we neglect health, there is a long-term impact in our Krishna consciousness. I think after COVID, there is a realization which has come very strongly in many, many people. We have to take care of our health. Okay, so lifestyle, trying to sleep on time, waking up on time, regulating our life. And it actually, if we see, what I've understood so far is that sleeping on time is like the paribhasha sutra of a granth. इसलिए परिभाषा सूत्र of grahastha is sleeping on time. We can manage to sleep on time, everything else is kind of managed. If that doesn't happen, you can't wake up, because we can't sleep at 12, and in Josh we can wake up at 4 or 5 one day, 2 day, 3 day. Then it starts impacting us. For a healthy body and mind, we need good sleep. Okay, we need to spend time. So all these things. So this is a very important thing. Okay, and that's why, that's to Santosh Prabhu's point. Therefore, it is regulated sensing. That's what Yukta Vairagya is. Okay, that we are engaged, but why we are engaged? We are engaged because we keep everything balanced so that we can peacefully fix our consciousness on the devotional service. Now, the point is, the material world was last stable only before Vishnu actually glanced on the Mahatattva. After that, it's all moving only. So today I am feeling balanced, tomorrow something will come. So it is always a dynamic thing. We should never expect in balance that no, things will always be the same every day. Okay, someday my mind is good, my spouse's mind is not good. I can't get angry. Oh, why you are angry? Because I want to. So that cannot happen like that. So in this way, it's a balance we have to strike. So when we go through this, so you understand, no, the importance of sense control. Therefore, becomes sense control for us may mean right now. I don't know whether this Vega, it will come actually in Manasa Vegam only, the social media Veg. No, where our time goes a lot on social media, Facebook, WhatsApp, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And that kind of completely. So it should actually come in Vacho Vegam. It is Vacho Vegam. So we tolerate that urge. No, we put 5 kgs. We slowly reduce it and all those things. So in this way, it's a very practical verse. As we now will go deeper into this 6 Vegas, we'll have many interesting things to get covered. Okay, specifically from our life's perspective. Okay, does it answer your question, Praveen Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, very well. Thank you very much. This is been on the mind for a long time. Thank you very much. It's a very good explanation. Thank you.
It's 8-9. I don't want to breach what I just told. I don't want you to sleep late because of me. Anything, any other question, or we can, it's fine.
Yeah. So Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I have one question. Yes.
With Leena and Prabhu's permission, we can.
No, please, Hare Krishna. No, please go ahead. I'm only worried that you're getting late and yeah.
No, I'm fine. Yeah, Udayanand Prabhu, please tell.
So my question is, Prabhuji, when the different material modes attacks, right? So we would definitely be in different kind of, maybe, at different percentages, we may be in Tamo, Raja or Satoguna. And is it not that like we can directly go from Tamo to Suddha Sattva, or should it be like I'm sure that it is possible to directly go from Tamo to Suddha Sattva, but is the process, the recommended process is something like Tamo to Rajo to Sattva to Suddha Sattva, or many of these three can directly go to Suddha Sattva?
No, it is possible by association of pure devotee. It is very much possible that no, we can directly go from wherever we are. I mean, we have such a vivid example of Srila Prabhupada's life in which he actually brought so many people from Tamogun to Shuddha Sattva. But we have to understand one thing, Prabhuji, that Krishna consciousness is also a journey, It is not like 100-meter race. It's a journey we are traveling, okay? And we can't say that, I heard that. What will pure devotee come and say us? Let's say association of pure devotee, when we are saying, what will he come and say us? Let's say somebody is engaged in Tamoguna. He will actually elevate us. And what did Prabhupada actually do? That San Francisco or some of other places where he went, where people were engaged in Tamoguna. Yes, he actually, by the power of Bhagavad Bhakti, by hearing, chanting, he brought them. But then eventually what he did is that he engaged them, elevated them, got them married, and got properly situated in their duties and things like that, and deity worship, Pancharatric, Varnashram, Bhagavad, just like allopathic, Ayurvedic, and homeopathic, everything put together was being given. Okay? So it is not that Krishna consciousness or Bhagavad Vidhi is having some shortcoming. We have shortcomings. Okay, so we can't. And Prabhupada used to say that, why deity worship? No, because you need engagement. Therefore, Prabhupada says Pancharatric. If we see Prabhupada's life, he started with just chanting and hearing. There was no deity worship. But then when he saw devotees are getting interested, they need engagement. They cannot be just chanting and hearing whole. They are not Prabhupada. Nobody is Prabhupada. Okay. So therefore, Pancharatric. Prabhupada said that we'll engage everybody in deity worship. And then Prabhupada actually started building communities and things like that. Things in different ways Prabhupada engaged devotees. And then Prabhupada also mentioned about how to stay in a house peacefully and how to be a good example as a grahastha, so that you can actually bring many others in the fold of Krishna consciousness. So in this way, Prabhupada basically all the aspects of the Vedic system connected to Krishna consciousness he engaged. So yes, it is true, but at the same time, our taste is not so much. So therefore, we have to go through the process. At the same time, we can be elevated also. Does that make sense?
Got it, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, got it. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, with your permission, I have one more last question, Prabhuji.
Leelanand Prabhu's permission.
Okay.
I have a hard stop at 8:30, bro. That's the only thing, and I'm recording, so I'm just a little bit worried. Yeah, that's fine. We can go to them.
Okay.
Thank
Yes,
you.
maybe I'll ask it in the next session. Otherwise,
No, go ahead. Go ahead. We have time. Prabhuji is merciful. Go
so
ahead.
so when someone is too much indulged in Rajo or Tamo, it leads to the gates of hell, right, Prabhuji? So I mean, this question actually, I have been hearing different lectures from different Maharajas, and at times it actually really bewilders me, because the answers that I could derive from, maybe my understanding is wrong, Prabhuji. So does the soul after leaving the body suffers in the hell, or is it like the soul along with the body too suffers in the hell at times? My question is something like, in this body, at times, do we suffer in hellish context?
See, it depends on the maturity of the sinful reaction. We'll study that in Nectar of Devotion, that when the sinful action, any action for that matter, is like a seed, and it takes time for it to fructify and then eventually give the fruit, which we call as sinful reaction. So it depends of when that sinful reaction comes, okay, and then we suffer from that. So within this body, and before we move to next, what is the preparation needed? Orientation, like we had this Bhakti Shastri orientation. There may be some orientation needed for us to, before we move to the next body, in the court of Yamaraj. So there that orientation happens, and then we kind of move to the next part. So it depends on the maturity.
So my question is, Yeah, Prabhuji, my question is, on this earthly planet, anyone with a material body, is it possible to suffer the hellish, reactions?
So typically, no, the hells what we study in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not possible in a human body to suffer those kind of, to undergo those kind of sufferings. Okay. So that's why human form of life is best suited for self-realization. We can't suffer too much also, and we can't enjoy also too much. It's not just suffering. Even we can't enjoy the way the heavenly people enjoy. That also is very difficult for us. अभी 2 दिन होता है हमको सैटरडे संडे एंजॉयमेंट मिलता है तो भी उसके बाद हमें लगता है नहीं we'll get back to work. Somehow or other, no, we are so conditioned to, like, no, we can't digest the unrestricted enjoyment also in our life, you know. So that's human form of life. It is best suited for self-realization alone. Okay. And we can't suffer too much also. So the hellish planets, they specialize in giving that kind of facilities where one can suffer without actually giving up the body. I mean, it's actually subtle body which is being taken and all. But then there is so much of this potency provided that one can tolerate that sinful act. Human form of life is purely meant for self-realization. That's why.
Got it, Prabhuji. Very good. Thank you so much.
Any other question? Or with, okay, fine.
I was just remembering, with your permission, about the same question that was told, is we get a special body for suffering called Preta body, is what I heard. Whereby, because in this body, 1 liter of tail, we are dead. But there we get a special body where even 1,000 liters of tail mein boil karenge, we'll be going through that suffering for a long time. Something like that I heard. Some Prabhuji was, jokingly explaining that uske liye special body milta hai. Preta body, they call it. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, ghost body is actually a sense of suffering only. But in the gross body, it is like generally not enjoying for that.
Hari. Thank you, Prabhuji, very much for giving your time. I'm sure you had a long day at work and it's a working day that you're giving us time. Hopefully,
That's why it's so good that after a long working day, I had such nice end to the day where no nectar of instruction and associating with all of you. Nothing better than.
Have you visited Hyderabad, Prabhuji, anytime?
I have visited a couple of times. There was some program in BITS Pilani.
BITS Pilani, okay. And do you come to your office here, TCS office in Hyderabad?
Not really.
Not really.
Not for office.
Because we all stay very close to that office.
Oh, okay.
In and around.
Whenever things open up, we'll be able to meet each other physically.
Yes, Prabhuji, that's why I was saying. If you come, please give us a buzz and we'll be very happy to serve you.
It's my pleasure to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhu.